Hello, Zimbabwe. Masquera say. I'm hopeful that I'm going to do this live without network interruptions. So I've tried to fix my internet. I've tried to fix my network, and I hope and believe that I'm going to be able to do this broadcast without problems. So if you can see me, please confirm if you can see me and if you can hear me properly. So if you can hear me properly, please confirm through the comment section that you can hear me properly. If you are facing any challenges, please notify me so that I know how I can adjust my settings. So today we want to talk about the sad Zimbabwean story. We want to talk about the massive corruption which is happening. It is not only the political elites who are involved in corruption. If you go into the civil service, everybody is equally corrupt. If you go into the civil service, every department you go, people there, they are equally corrupt. They are very, very corrupt to an extent where the nation is losing billions of dollars from monies which are going into the hands or into the pockets of those who are working within the civil service of Zimbabwe. So I want to speak about the police. During the Mugabe era, the police used to take $5 per combi. They didn't care if your combi had all papers, had all documents. They would demand $5 per combi. Even if you have all the papers, you have your insurance, your vehicle fitness, the driver is licensed, and all medical is there, everything is there, and you have 15 passengers, they will still demand $5 per combi. So you can actually see that that became a norm. And what combis did is that they became they began not paying their dues. They began not taking their vehicles for fitness. They began not licensing their vehicles. They began absconding from paying passenger insurances, and the drivers or the owners, they now started employing even people who were not licensed. And that costed the nation a lot. Why? It's because the police adopted a corrupt route of taking money from each and every combi. We were so young, but we saw it happening. We saw it happening in our eyes. And we asked the questions, are the leaders not seeing what is happening? Are the leaders not aware of what is happening? So this comes to an issue where when Mnangagwa took over, a lot of receipt books were burnt at the police. So there were allegations that dozens of receipt books were burnt. And the question is, why were those receipt books burnt? I'm not so sure about which law they used to do that, or which corporate governance principle they used to do that. But they destroyed a lot of receipt books, which means there is a probability that they destroyed evidence, which means there is a probability that fines which were being collected on the road by the police were not reaching government coffers. There is a very huge probability. So let's go and see what was happening during COVID. During COVID, if you had money, if you had $5, you could do your errands. So there were syndicates where you can just pay $5 and you do your errands the whole day. Nobody touches you. If you are caged or if you are caught, you would just call that person you have given you $5, and that person would come and represent you and would bail you out. That is what was happening. So you can actually see that the nation was fighting COVID, yet other people were benefiting from how the nation was fighting COVID, taking money from people. Let's go to Zim borders. If you go to Bedbridge border post right now, money speaks. There are people who are there. Some of them, they even masquerade as CIOs. Some of them, they are untouchables. They do whatever they want at the border. They're collecting money, making sure that they help smugglers to smuggle their things through the border. That is what is happening right now. So someone can go and the whole war track might get out of Bedbridge border post, even if they have not paid duty. That is happening. And the question is, where is the government of Zimbabwe? What measures are they putting in place to make sure that they close the net on that? Because just imagine if you see one truck being caught, ranga richismagula zvinhu, rabatirwa kupi, rabatirwa ratopinda muHarare. What about the trucks which never reached Harare, which ended in Masvingo? Or what about trucks which used the other routes? Or what about trucks which you didn't had time to catch? Or the trucks you missed? So you can actually see that the corruption at the border post is massive to an extent that what Zimbabwe is collecting is just a fraction of what they are losing. And who is benefiting? The people who work at the border, they are benefiting. They've built houses, they bought very fancy cars, they built houses for their girlfriends, you see. So our money, which is supposed to be used for important things, it is now being used to buy houses or build houses for girlfriends. So you can actually see that while listed at the borders, if you go to the Limpopo River, there are syndicates which are untouchable. They smuggle whatever they want through the Limpopo River. They do whatever they want. They are very strong and backed by very powerful politicians. So the problem is that if you're a law enforcement agent, if you try to stop them, they call the boss and you are given instruction to let them go. So what is going to happen next is when they come with their own consignments, you don't have power to question them because you know that these are untouchables. So they are taking advantage of, they have smuggled something for a big man, and they are now using the same man's name to smuggle a lot of things because they were given free passage from the beginning. This is the reason why you have seen that in Zimbabwe right now, there are so many unregistered firearms in the streets. So many unregistered firearms which are now being used for robberies, which are now being used for crime. And the question is, how are they getting into Zimbabwe? It's because we have a porous border, we have corruption at the borders. So anybody can now move anything. Anything can now be moved in between Zimbabwe and South Africa. So you can actually see that when things are not right at the top, the rot begins at the bottom. You see, the things are not right at the top. You begin to notice the rot at the bottom. Right now, what we are seeing, these are the repercussions of what was happening for a very long time, and it was being swept under the carpet. So you can actually see that if you go to VID right now, maybe a very tiny fraction of our people is managing to get licenses without paying a bribe. So you go VID, you want a driver's license, you are told to pay a fee. Right now, I'm told it's around $50. You have to pay $50 for you to get a driver's license. $50. So just imagine every person who is taking a driver's license is leaving $50. So how much is that? So you can actually say that this is the reason why we now have incompetent drivers, because anybody can just go and pay and get a driver's license. Anybody can just go and pay and get the questions for your VID test, theory test. So people are no longer reading for them to know the rules of the road. They are now just reading from the question papers they got. They're just studying the question paper. So they just go and write the question paper because they now know the answers. They go and write. And after that, you see that we see people overtaking it, the robots, we see people doing all sorts of traffic crime. And nothing is happening. Why? There is massive corruption at VID. So you can actually see that this has affected our country negatively. Why? The leaders don't care. We suggested to say, why can't you remove road test for a while? Why can't you suspend road test for a while? Why least you're working on putting digital mechanisms to test everybody who takes a license? So you can actually see that you can implement digital mechanisms where people use cameras to get into the drums, to have 3.10, to have you start everything. They can use cameras. So you can actually see that there won't be human involvement for you to take a driver's license. You'll be working with a computer. And when you have a query, you can go on a replay and see what really happened or what really transpired, because everything will be recorded. But they don't want to implement that because they know very well that it serves, it will limit their opportunities to loot or to steal. So you can actually see that this corruption, it shows that it involves the big wigs like the Minister of Transport, etc. I believe that they are involved in these games because if they were not involved, they would have worked for a very long time to make sure that they implement such measures to stop the massive looting at VID. So if you go to CVR, quite a massive roads or panyama registration plates, etc. So the question is, where are we going as a nation? And what are our leaders doing? Why should we continue to put our hope in these leaders? Why should we continue to believe that these leaders will bring something new from 2023 to 2028 when they have failed to deal with easy things to do with corruption? Easy things to do with corruption. The criminals are walking scot-free because they have money, while the innocent are in prison. So Stakas Lemoy, thank you very much for tuning in. Corruption. So now they can't stop this because top officials are the very corrupt people. Yes. So when you are involved in corruption, I once said, when the top manager is involved in corruption, what will happen is the top manager cannot do the corrupt activity alone. Why? There is a moment where he is going to give a bogus instruction to those below him. So there are things which the top manager does not have direct access to. For an example, there are companies or organizations where some of the things they need to have somebody logging into his own personal account to do something. So the boss will need to involve those at the lower levels for him to make or a killing, and you give them a tiny fraction of what he earns. So what is going to happen is those at the lower ranks, they will see that, okay, the manager is doing this, and they will begin to do it on their own. That is how corruption is happening. So even if the manager realizes that these young boys are now doing it, it is going to be difficult for him to stop these young boys, because they will say, but mdara imimi makaita one, and some of them might even have evidence of that corruption. And it will be very difficult for that manager to pursue that matter, to say, you guys are corrupt. So when the leader is corrupt, it goes down. Kusvika kupasi. So when we notice the rot which is on our level, because when we get into offices, sometimes we meet these young boys who are at the reception, who are at the lower offices, etc. And we witness the rot which is there. And we ask questions. Why is it that the management does not even care about very long queues? If you go to the passport or to the ID offices, registrar, you would ask it, why is it that the manager is not seeing kuti line rakakurisa? Hapana vanhu vakawanda, but why is it that manager is not taking action is because he is involved. So when you are involved, hauchagone kukomanda vanhu kuti vanhu itai fast. When you are involved, Maria ya corruption inonaka to an extent yekuti unenge uchitoziva kuti every person atora ID akasiya $5 or $10, 10 kuvanhu vese vari kutora, kana pane vanhu 100, each person akasiya $10, which means kana muchishanda muri 10 ipapapo makutoenda kumba makanota. You see, just imagine every day umwe nomwe achienda kumba ne$100. Do you think kuti even the top managers, they are willing to let the corruption just go? No, they are not willing. Why? Per month, they record more than $2,000 from corrupt proceeds. So you can actually see that these guys, they will never be willing to give IDs in time. They will never be willing to give passports in time. So the reason why they attack people like Advocate Fadzai Mahere, when she speaks about corruption or against corruption, she gives solution. She always speaks about digitalizing the system. She always speaks about somebody using his mobile phone to apply for an ID or to say, I need an ID. You put your details, then you are given an appointment to come on this day. So the day you are told come on this day, you have applied on your mobile phone and you are told come tomorrow at 9 a.m. It means at 9 a.m. they will be knowing we have who are expecting IDs from this point. So everybody must take his or her ID that day without fail. And that is going to reduce corruption because inini kana ndakapiwa an appointment ndikatadza kunopiwa ID yangu, I have to report kuti ndatadza kupiwa ID yangu because of ABCD, and they will be questioned kuti this person was given an appointment, why is it that you failed to give him or her an ID? And some people would ask, what about those with emergencies? That is the reason why we have technology. Technology understands things. You have we have an emergency portal, we have an ordinary portal. So on an emergency portal, we see with this person an emergency. We see if it is in Harare, we see kuti the open district in the ripi kwanogona kuenda unosevwa immediately otobatsirika. But our people or our leaders, they don't care and they don't want to implement those things. Why? They know very well that they are benefiting from the corruption which is happening. So it means from the registrar himself, they are both benefiting, they are both corrupt. So it is a syndicate because you don't work alone. So they work in syndicates. This is the reason why they will never, ever, ever do anything to end corruption. It's because they are aiding each other in terms of stealing. So if you don't register to vote, this is the situation you are going to be subjected from 2023 to 2028. This is the same situation you are going to be subjected for another half a decade from now. So let's register to vote and let's make sure that we put our voice in the ballot. We change Zimbabwe. We undo this sad story. We remove and we end this sad Zimbabwean story. So all the attack you see on Advocate Fadzai Mahere is because she is campaigning for a digital Zimbabwe, which will reduce corruption by over 80%. If we digitalize the economy of Zimbabwe, as per the plan of Advocate Nelson Chamisa, you will see that corruption will be reduced by 80%, at least 80%. That will be the lowest. So I think the projections are 80% to 92% corruption reduction rate. That is the estimates we have. So you can actually see that under Nelson Chamisa, Zimbabwe is going to be very sweet. Zimbabwe is going to be the best country in this world, where you are going to register your company online, you are going to do everything, you are going to do it online. So Team Zimbabwe, I don't know what you think, but I hope and believe that if we get united, we are going to rewrite the Zimbabwean story. We are going to end this sad Zimbabwean story of massive corruption, massive looting. Just imagine you are going to pay somebody who is being paid already. That is very painful. Why should I double pay somebody? That is the question we need to ask. We need to stop corruption. But at times, you cannot tell somebody uh, who is under pressure for something. Maybe you want to go for a job interview, or you want to apply for a job, and the closing day is tomorrow, and you are told kuti buritsa $10 izvezvi ndikupe ID. You don't have any option. You end up paying $10 even if against your will. So let's end that scenario. Let's end that corruption by voting for change. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for your contributions. Thank you very much for your support. Let's hit the subscribe button. Till we meet again in other episodes. Much love.